I think Alexandre Pantoja should be number 5 pound for pound, at least, and here's why. Okay, number 1, Islam Makhachev. I 100% agree. I think he's actually the best fighter on the roster right now, aside from John Jones. I mean, John Jones being number 1, to me, is also fair, and I'm not trying to be on some Dana White, the same type tip, but it is still John Jones, even though he hasn't been active. Every time he comes back, technically he's active again, and with just the amount of people he's beaten, I mean, it just doesn't really make sense for him to be anything less. But I mean, if they really are going through the rankings and seeing who they think is actually the best, which I don't think they're actually doing, then I could see it be Islam. But the only reason why I think it should be John Jones is because I'm like, I don't think the people who make the media making the rankings are really taking into consideration as much consideration actual technical skill rather than activity and wins and kind of just how they look in general. But that's neither here nor there. The top 3 I'm fine with. Alex Pereira, number 3. I think Alex should be under John Jones and Islam Makhachev. Actually, I take that back. Alex Pereira is the only person that's been fighting in multiple weight classes the most recently. Even though if he was the same weight class as the other 2, he's probably losing that fight. Honestly, wouldn't have been mad if they put Alex Pereira, especially this year. I wouldn't have been mad if they put Alex Pereira number 1. I don't know what it's going to take to dethrone Islam Makhachev, actually. Now that I think about it, he hasn't fought since he became number 1 after he beat Volk for the second time, right? After he knocked him out, he was 1. I remember because when he beat him the first time, he was like, well, how was he not number 1? He beat him. And it's because it was close. The second time, they put him at number 1. I guess because he beat Volk. I think the Volk wins. I think that's why. But Pereira beat Adesanya, and it's fine. Whatever. Top 3, I think is pretty interchangeable. And I think everybody agrees with that. Ilia Topuria has only 1 defense, but he also beat Volk. He knocked him out. I guess Islam knocked him out in 1 round, and he beat him twice. But he's coming off the couch. But then you can also say Volkanovski came off short notice when he lost to Poirier. But that's the thing I'm saying. Are they really taking all that into consideration when they're doing the list? I don't know. But Topuria has a strong argument, especially because he's won at 155 before. But his resume between 2 divisions isn't as impressive as Alex Pereira, and he only has 1 defense. Even though that 1 defense is more impressive than probably all 3. Definitely all of Alex Pereira's defenses, but probably all 3 of them combined. How does that math work? How do you combine it and make it as valuable? I don't know. I kind of just made that up. That's besides the point. Alex Pereira, I think, should be above Ilia Topuria just for that reason. They both knock people out. They're both exciting. Alex Pereira just does it more. Now, Bilal Muhammad hasn't even defended his belt. Can't be that top 5. Just can't. You can't put him over Dricus Duplessis, who defended it and finished Israel Adesanya. Doesn't make sense to me. Merab should be number 7. The whole bantamweight is messed up because they shot O'Malley when he beat Aljo. Aljo kind of made sense because he beat Jan, he beat TJ, and he beat Henry. That kind of makes sense to put him he was like at number 6 or 7. Okay, split decisions, cool. If they didn't put him up there, it's fine, but they put him up there. That kind of makes sense because of his resume. O'Malley, he knocks him out, but I don't really agree with you beating the champion and then just taking their spot in the pound for pound. You know, I kind of get it, I guess. But, you think it makes sense, like, oh, now I'm pound for pound. As opposed to the argument being, well, maybe they weren't as pound for pound, But I don't necessarily think it should be that, right? Like if John Jones, or not John Jones, let's say Arman Sarukian beats Islam on January 18th, does that make Arman Sarukian the number 1 pound for pound? There's no way that's happening. There's 0. It's definitely going to be John Jones, as it should. Arman will probably move up to January, probably it'll be John Jones, Pereira, Topuria, and then probably Sarukian at number 4, my guess. And Islam will probably go down to above. He'll probably go down to above 7. He'll probably be above Aspinall, would be my guess, is what they'll do with him. Depends on how he loses, too. Split decision versus knockout. But either way, he'll stay in the rankings. But Bilal, Bilal is... My thing is, okay, you can take into consideration what they did before they were champions, which is fair. But if that mattered so much, they would have been in the pound for pound before they became champion, like Oliveira. Granted, he got there as a champion and then moved down. But I'm saying if you're so dope as pound for pound, you could be there without being a champion. I mean, there's only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8 champions. There's 15 slots. You could let a really dope fighter get in there without having to have won a belt before, Not just win a belt and lose. Therefore, Like, O'Malley's still number 13. Like, does that even sound right, bro? Does O'Malley really seem like the number 13 baddest person? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, does that really... So for that, I think don't put Bilal at 5. It just feels disingenuous. It just does... Not that he couldn't be it. Not that he's not the 5th best. I just think you're just giving it to him a little too quick. Merab doesn't have the resume of Bilal. Aspinall makes sense. See, Aspinall is one of those people where it's like, well, dang, he's like kind of... I mean, I know knockouts are relatively more common in heavyweight, but now he's the interim champion and he defended it. I think 8 is a little low. I think you could put Aspinall above Merab and Bilal. I mean, look at his resume and how he's dealt with them. But if not, I also understand. But I think you could put him above Bilal. Draiku's definitely below. I say Draiku as a joke. I know it's Draikus. He's above Bilal. Leon, I mean, that's fair. Leon was really good. I was a big supporter of Leon being up there. Volk, what was the last thing Volk did? Got knocked out twice. Well, by the number 1 and number 4, so that's fair. Holloway, fair. O'Malley doesn't make sense. Like just think of like O'Malley's there, but like Gaethje and Poirier and who else? Izzy, Rob Whittaker, Hamzat. Y'all love the favoritism stuff. That's what okay, that's a perfect example of somebody who could be in the pound for pound, who should be in the pound for pound, that has never won a bout. We saw what he did at 170. We saw what the one thing he did at 185. Beating Kamaru was not no small feat. I mean, yeah, he's on short notice, but he took the fight. You know, he was in good shape. Whether that was 170 or 185, it's hard to say whether that would have happened because I don't know if, you know, the great cut and all that stuff. Hard to say what would have happened, but you could put him... Kamaru's not in there, which makes sense, but I'm just saying, like, O'Malley above them, one title defense, doesn't really make sense, you know? I would ditch him. Strickland was just because he beat Adesanya, and I get it, he looked like a world beater that day. He looked like he could beat every kickboxer ever. And then, and then he just got kind of a bad matchup that he kind of won. He arguably won. So Strickland, I guess, but it's some of these fights, it's just like, okay, you beat the champion, the pound for pound guy, you take a spot, and then let's just say you just fucking lose after that. That happens. Now it just kind of seems like you were just wasting a spot in there. Like, imagine O'Malley goes out there and fights Corey, which I don't think he will, but I think he should. For some reason, I just feel like that fight's not going to happen. I don't think O'Malley wants it as much as everybody else wants it. I think he wants a more favorable matchup, even though that's probably one of the bigger fights. But I think O'Malley doesn't mind bad matchups if there's like a big opportunity. I just don't think he sees Sandhagen as much of a big opportunity, but is a bad matchup. But, I mean, everybody's kind of a bad matchup. But unless he's going to fight Jan again, he'll probably be confident in that. Unless he's going to fight Figgy. That's besides the point. What was I going to say? Yeah, it's like, I don't even remember the point I was trying to make. But the point is, like, you could just win the belt and then lose it and then immediately just keep losing and you kind of hogging up the spot in the top 15, which doesn't make sense, of the pound for pound. So I think get him out of there. I think get Strickland out of there. Oliveira, I don't know, I kind of feel like, because he's winning, it's kind of hard to kick him out, but I kind of would like it to be more so for, okay, Oliveira's fine. I like Oliveira. Oliveira's fine. My main point is that I think Pantoja should not be number 9, below, well, I guess technically he's below one non-champion, Leon Edwards, and below the interim champion when he's defending his belt 3 times and completely cleared out his division. So whether or not you're taking into consideration what you did before champion or what you did after you're the champion, in terms of numbers and resume, he is probably the most credentialed person on the pound for pound list outside of John Jones, of course. John Jones didn't do much before he was a champion because he did everything as a champion. So John Jones, nobody's taking that. But, and Pereira. Pereira, when you think about like Adesanya and then beating every champion and light heavyweight. I think everybody at light heavyweight who was a champion, he beat. And then he didn't do much at middleweight, but he did beat Izzy, you know? Got that finish. So he should be up there. Like, nobody else is doing that. He should be up there. And John Jones, obviously. But other than that, I mean, who's done more than Pantoja? Like, Islam has his resume is, what is it? Oliveira, Volk, Poirier? That's nice, you know? There's just no names like that at flyweight. because they're just not as big a draw. But beating Brandon Moreno 3 times is, I mean, I think that's pretty comparable to beating like maybe a Poirier, like the flyweight Poirier. No, am I crazy? I know they're not as big names. I know Moreno didn't fight Poirier, McGregor, but he beat Moreno. He beat Royval. These guys are beating up their whole divisions. They're just as talented and skilled. He beat Asakura. He beat Cobb. He beat it. Oh no, I don't think. Did he fight Cobb? I don't remember. But he beat everybody, dude. Like I think it's just as impressive to beat that whole division as it is to have beaten to have beaten Leon Edwards once, or to have beaten Bulk and then Holloway, or to have beaten Strickland and Adesanya. These guys they're talented. They just don't have the names because it's the flyweight division. And like I said, I'm not trying to put him above Makhachev or anything. I just think he should be number 5. I think you should put him above Bilal, above Dricus, above Merab, above Aspinall, and above Leon. And I think you put I think you just put the belts. Like I think you have all the champions and Aspinall up in there, and then you start going to other people. Like I don't think Pantoja should be under. I think there was a time he was under a few champions. Number 8 is crazy, bro. Number 8, it should be, in my opinion, it should go Makhachev, Jones, Pereira in any order, in my opinion. And then you do Topuria or Pantoja, and then the other one. And then you go Dricus, and then you do Bilal, because beating, I think, Leon, and the way he did it is more, well, they both kind of beat up on them. But I think beating Leon was more impressive than beating O'Malley. So then I think you do Bilal, and then, no, I'm sorry. You either do Bilal or Tom at 7. Tom defended it. I'm gonna say Tom, then Bilal, then Merab, and then I don't care about everybody else. Then get O'Malley out of here. Strickland, he came back and beat Costa. That's cool. But I think, let's just say you replace O'Malley with Hamza. I think you do that. That's pretty cool. You can keep Oliveira and all them. Holloway and Volkanovski. That's cool. But yeah, that's what I think. I think Pantoja should be top 5. And I think you got Hamza up in there. And yeah, you start making some noise. That's just my 3 cents. And yeah.